All right, let's call this meeting to order here. 6:01. We have Pledge of Allegiance. I don't know what somebody do with Pledge of Allegiance. I'm trying to have this opportunity. Mr. Sandoval.
I would pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have the roll call, please.
Sir. See what?
Director Bayolos? Yes, absent. Director Barajas?
Present.
Director Collins?
Here.
Director Jones? Here. Director Lopez is absent. Director Sandoval?
Here.
We have alternate Director Alejo.
Okay.
Alternate Director Funk.
Present.
Alternate Vice President De La Rosa.
Here.
Vice President Church.
Here.
And did I miss Director Jones? Director Jones. We have quorum.
Thank you. And translation services and other meeting announcements.
Servicios de traducción están disponibles en persona o a través de Zoom, seleccionando el icono de globo en la parte de abajo de la pantalla.
Thank you. Excuse me. Approval of the agenda. Do we move to approve? We have a second?
Second.
Okay. First a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We do have an agenda then. And with the general manager,
I just have one quick announcement. That's just to remind everybody, we do not have a meeting in July unless something urgent comes up. So wishing all of you a happy summer break, and we will see you all back in August after this meeting's over.
thank you. Any department manager comments? Nobody. Okay.
I do have.
I'm sorry, go right
Yeah,
ahead.
just some reminders. Sorry about that. Compost workshop and giveaway in King City this weekend. So if you're around and interested, we'll be in the parking lot of the King City Fairgrounds from 10 to 11. And then also as a reminder, Gonzalez has their annual cleanup day this Saturday as well at La Gloria. And I think that's 8 to noon. What? Oh, Fairview? Okay, it's Fairview. Yeah. Okay, very good. 2 hours. Okay. That was it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I can safely assume we do not have any general legal counsel comments today. So we will, or do we?
No comments at this time. Thank you.
Oh, we do up here. Okay, I'm sorry. I did not
Shannon's on.
realize what our situation was here. No comments then?
No comments at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. And director comments. Anybody have anything to share? Nobody? Yep, yes, please go ahead.
I want to share an event that we're having Saturday in the 200 block of Old Town. It's our third Fiesta Italia, and I'm inviting everyone to come out. Our Rotary Santa Lucia, we're selling the arancini. It's all homemade, homemade lasagna, music. He's gonna set up a beer booth. I think they sell Bellinis and all that. So, and I believe too, he has a kids zone. So please come out and support the festival, and it's really fun. And we hope and pray that it's very good weather. So it's from 11:30 to 2 o'clock on Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes.
Recent arrival.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry I'm late. 2 things. We have this Saturday at Fort Hunter Leggett, our fellow neighbors, they're going to be having a Freedom Fest. It starts at 4 p.m. There's going to be dunk tanks, family games, entertainment. Also, of course, fireworks. So it's a pre-show fireworks event at the base at Fort Hunter Liggett. So all you guys are welcome to attend. Also next Friday is Soledad's 4th of July event as well. It starts at 12 p.m., starting with our kids walk parade. It's only going to be 4 blocks, and it starts out with them. Hopefully our color guard from Fort Hunter Liggett will participate. And we are going to have family fun games and watermelon eating contest, pie eating contest, and two banda bands and one live music band, and of course a fireworks show. And we're going to have local vendors there, you know, to help support nonprofit. So yeah.
Thank you. Other directors, then we'll move to public comment for items not on today's agenda. Is there anybody in the chambers who would like to speak? And anybody online? All right, we'll close public comment. Move on to the consent agenda. Is there an item here that anybody would like to address? Or is anybody in the public that would like to address the item on the consent agenda? Right, we have a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second, Supervisor Alejo, then Councilmember De La Rosa. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And let's see. Next item. Go to item 8. It's an update on the litter abatement and illegal dumping activities in Monterey County. Mr. Ishii.
Can I just do a quick introduction, Randy? Before he gets ready? Yeah, I just want to do a quick introduction. So as the board knows, last month, we approved an extension of the existing litter abatement agreement with the County of Monterey. We also agreed to provide an additional $25,000 a year to provide those services. So I just personally want to thank Randy and all his staff in the Public Works Department for all the work that they do out there to help keep our roads clean. Hopefully we'll be doing our part, you know, if we get a transfer station open in North County soon, that'll give people opportunities. But so tonight we really have several people that are going to speak on this issue. Randy will be talking about the legal dumping cleanup and litter prevention work going on in the county. And then Mandy and Jana from our office, as well as Maria Verdeen with the Environmental Health Bureau, we'll be getting up and talking about the broader issue of illegal dumping and litter abatement in the county, and the outreach and other work that's being done outside of the physical cleanup that the Public Works Department is doing. So with that, Randy.
Good evening, and thank you very much for the introduction, General Manager Matthews, Vice President Church, and Directors of the Authority Board. As introduced, I'm Randy Ishii, Director of Public Works, Facilities and Parks for Monterey County. And it's a privilege to be able to present to you tonight to inform you and convey the latest that we are able to accomplish with the litter abatement activities conducted in the county. And again, we sincerely thank the Authority Board for renewing the MOU with the county for litter abatement services, as well as the consideration for the tipping fees. It goes a long ways for us in this constant challenge we have with illegal dumping. So with our next slide, our overview for tonight's presentation is to talk about our past activities. It's important to know what we have currently accomplished at this juncture. So we'll talk about the past activities. We'll then talk about current activities and county progress, particularly with our vendor, Smith & Enright, that augments the existing county staffing that we have. And Ms. Verdeen will speak in more detail about other current activities the county is conducting, and then open up for questions or comments. Next slide, please. So in terms of our past activities, we continue to do our activities based off of county staffing, which consists of 2 county litter guards who are supplemented by the alternative work program individuals. As a note, in calendar year 2023, the county had only 1 litter guard with 1 position that was vacant. And that individual chose to retire. We appreciate his long years of service with the county. And it wasn't until the middle to the end of calendar year 2024 that we were fully staffed back with 2 litter guards, as well as the alternative work program individuals. So what you'll see from the data, and as you already have seen from the data in your packets, is that the activity seem to be lesser in 2023 and 2024 in terms of tonnage recovered. However, that's a false indicator. That's because of the staffing levels. And what we also currently note is that, consistent with the past, we've noticed larger concentrations of illegal dumping around the urban fringes. And which you'll see on the next slide, please. It's just a reminder of the vast nature of the county itself. We won't spend too much time talking about this slide, but what you'll see is that there's two different colored sets of line works on the base map of the county itself. The red line work represents the road districts, which is our own internal tracking system and our own satellite yards nomenclature. The cerulean blue coloring or light blue coloring you see represents the supervisorial boundaries. So we have Supervisor District 1 on the northeast side of Salinas. We have Supervisor of District 2 in the North Salinas, so on and so on. So we'll go to the next slide. And something that we're trying to get better and more consistent about is posting the illegal dumping locations on the county's webpage. We have a separate individual webpage that focuses on the litter, on spots where litter has been dumped, thus generating a heat map, as it were, to indicate where we have our hotspots. And this is just for fiscal year 24-25, which is the fiscal year that's ending in the coming week. And we notice that there's large concentrations of illegal dumping happening along and around the main population centers. And then we have some spatterings throughout the Salinas Valley going to the south. Next slide, please. The next couple of slides shows just some examples that are endemic of the kinds of litter that we see on our roadways and just out and about in the county itself. An example on the left-hand side shows trash on the Railroad Avenue. And then on this slide here, you'll see that there's trash, plastic containers, and clothes, and even carpeting and rugs that are tossed about on Old Stage Road. And the right-hand side was somewhat of an anomaly in that there was lots of wood that was dumped off on San Juan Grade Road. Next slide, please. And the next couple of slides show some of our metrics in terms of the calendar year monthlies for the accumulation that we were able to collect and take to the transfer stations. The highlight here is that we collected approximately 151 tons of illegally dumped materials over the course of calendar year 2024, which is consistent with our past trends. And again, most of this work was done using our vendor Smith and Enright due to our staffing level at the time. And the columns represent the various kinds of litter that we collect, ranging from electronics to appliances, tires, and then what we call free litter, which is the trash bags and other small debris that you expect from individuals just on a daily basis out and about. Next slide, please. And then currently for calendar year 2025, what you see is here again with our full staffing levels and with our vendor who is supplementing us, we are already, as of end of May 2025, at 126 tons of illegally dumped material. I'm pausing there for just a moment. Again, with we're using just our vendor alone for that past year of 2024, we were at 151 tons. We're not even halfway through the calendar year yet. We're already at 126 tons, or almost the same amount. So illegal dumping continues, unfortunately, in the county. Next slide, please. And then this is just some of the details by our different transfer stations we take materials to. Next slide, please. And the next few slides will show some of that trend in terms of fiscal year versus calendar year. So for fiscal year 22, in this case, looking back in time and going forward in time, we had approximately 196 tons of illegally dumped material. And again, it's a various range of either tires, mattresses, electronics, so on and so on. So with 196 tons in mind, we'll go to the next slide, please. And in fiscal year 23, somewhat of an anomaly, however, a very large amount of over 265 tons of material that were collected. And again, this is a little bit of an anomaly in that we experienced the flooding and storm damages, and a lot of material that was brought during that fiscal year was also brought back to the transfer stations to assist with the refuse materials left by the winter storm and flooding events. And so this slide represents fiscal year 24. Again, there's 200 plus tons of material. And as we go to the next slide, for fiscal year 25 that we're currently ending, we're already looking at 222 tons of illegally dumped material. So again, we're over that 200-ton mark. That seems to be our trend, and it's throughout the entire county. Next slide, please. And so it takes us to our current activities. And currently what we're doing, besides continuing marshaling along, cleaning illegally dumped materials, is that we're trying to enhance our coverage and clean more road mileage, again, by use of the graciousness of this authority board with continuing the augmentation of our current services through our vendor, Smith and Enright, as well as our county staff with the alternative work program individuals. We're also continuing to promote our existing programs such as the Adopt a Roadway. And as my counterpart, Ms. Fardeen from the Environmental Health Bureau, as well as Mandy Brooks and others will report on, we have the education and the enforcement activities that they'll be able to report in more detail on, and other good news and auspices to report on that. So again, there's the 3 E's when it comes to illegal dumping: eradication, education, and enforcement. And this is highlighting what Public Works does in terms of the eradication activity. So next slide, please. And just want to highlight a little bit of parsing out that information that you saw in the previous slides. These next 2 slides show just the work that the county litter guards and the alternate work program individuals do. The takeaway here from the cerulean blue color columns is that those are the general day-to-day litter abatement activities they do. And the light green represents the request for service or call outs we get from the public informing us that there's legally dumped materials. So not only are they looking at the list of the hotspot areas, but they also get calls about legally dumped materials that they're also working on. And so they received in fiscal year 23, north of 356 calls of service requests just for illegally dumped materials. Fiscal year 24, that number went up to 446 for a total of 479 requests for service. 479 basically calls or spots of illegally dumped materials. And as we go to the next slide, that shows where we're at in this point in time for fiscal year 25. And for just fiscal year 25, we're looking at a total set of calls of 524 calls just for illegally dumped materials. So next slide. And these are just some of the hotspots that we have that wanted to show that exemplify some of the cases we see on a near daily basis. This is an example from Old Sage Road in 2024. Just this material you see in these pictures cost all of us approximately $5,700 just to clean this one location up. And as we go to the next slide, this is an example along San Juan Grade Road, again in 2024. And this costs a little north of $1,700 to clean up. So it wasn't quite as bad as the previous slide. But as pointed out by staff from the authority, one notices that there's mattresses, one notices that there's other materials there, all of which could have been taken over to the landfill, would have been accepted by the landfill, basically free of charge. But these individuals just chose to dump it along the side of the road. Next slide, please. And this is an example along Strawberry Road here in 2025. This was a little bit of a larger site, and it costs approximately $3,700 to abate the litter just in this one part of Strawberry Road. Next slide, please. And then San Miguel Canyon is another one of our hotspot areas. This is in 2025, and this set of clothing, timber, again, mattresses, and some small furniture were on the order of almost $2,200 to clean up just this one spot along San Miguel Canyon Road. Next slide, please. And then we want to take just a moment to highlight some of the work separately that our vendor, Smith and Enright, has been doing. And this is again for 2024. So we'll go on to the next slide. Here's another hotspot example, which our vendor themselves had cleaned up. It took them 66 person hours to clean this spot for almost $7,000. This was quite a large dumping site here on Via Tinkis Road up in the North County, ranging from rubber materials that one could argue are part of a landscaping set of activity, tires, cardboard, a various host of free litter and so on. So next slide, please. This is another example in North County of Trafton Road here in 2024. This one was a much larger site. Just this one site itself took 79 person hours from Smith and Enright and close to $8,000 to clean. Again, you have box springs, mattresses. There was a couch in this case. I believe there were a couple of bags of general litter that were collected up that were out there as well. And then, of course, the refrigerator and other appliances were at this one location. Next slide, please. Again, San Juan Grade Road is one of our hotspots, and we need the support of the vendor besides our county litter crew forces to be able to clean it. And this one was although it appears to be an anomaly, we do see these from time to time where there's copious amounts of bags of litter that are out there. So this one took 290 person hours and 290 person hours by our vendor to clean, which was close to $31,000. That was a cost to all of us to clean. And it's a motley of things ranging from bottles and essentially household types of debris that were found at this location. Again, with furniture mixed in with it. Next slide. And then as we wrap up the presentation, just showing you the challenges that we're constantly seeing in the field. Here's Old Stage Road from 2024. Again, a larger site. This one took 393 person hours from our vendor Smith and Enright to abate, and it cost approximately $42,000 just because of the size and bulkiness of these materials. And again, a mattress was found at this location. So next slide, please. And McGowan Road, this is another one of our hotspot areas. Smith and Enright cleaned this one up, which was a smaller illegal dump site. Took 16 person hours and close to $1,700 to clean up just this set of material, a lot of which is furniture from possibly someone who was moving, but could be said it was old furniture that wasn't wanted any longer. So it takes some thought to put this type of illegally dumped material on the roadways. So next slide, please. Also a hazard for our environment. As we wrap up, here's another one on Samuel Canyon Road. We won't spend too much time on it, but it's another one that costs several $1,000s and over a week's worth of time to be able to clean up just this one site. Next slide, please. And then Metz Road in South County, we also see quite a few cases of illegally dumped materials. This is just one of those exemplifies what we see in the South County. Again, mattresses, bags of household litter that were collected up, empty bottles, things of that nature. Again, nearly $7,000 and 62 person hours by our vendor just to clean up this one site. Next slide, please. And so to give some characteristics of what we see out there and over the course of this last reporting period, the general debris we see by each of these locations, such as at Samuel Canyon Road at Castro Boulevard, about once a month, we see a mix of trash. And then out Del Monte and Castroville, we see lots of trash. Lots of it appears to be household-like materials, which could be attributed to the RVs that we see out there, since they don't have garbage service. And then there's lots of tires, not necessarily just on the county roads. And then at Salinas Road in Castroville, we see lots of small trash. There seems to be a concentration of it around the Santa Fe store. And then at Davis and Castroville, we see a mix of trash underneath the underpass. And as we saw from the pictures on San Miguel Canyon, we see lots of small trash. And on Elkhorn Road, we see miscellaneous trash ranging from tires to sometimes what look like old fertilizer bottles that were empty. Sorry, fertilizer jugs that are empty, miscellaneous trash, and oftentimes lots of trash that are in bags that could have just been taken down to transportation or landfill. Next slide, please. And then wrapping up some of the general debris we see by location on Old Stage Road between Crazy Horse Canyon and Hebert Road, we tend to see lots of large items out there that could have been taken to the landfill and lots of micro litter along the fence lines. And by large items, we refer to the appliances, the mattresses, box springs, and so on. Switching gears to San Juan Grade Road between Crazy Horse and the county line, we see micro litter and bags of trash. This is the part of San Juan Grade Road as you go into San Benito County, as you go over the hill. Then on San Juan Road near Pajaro, we see lots of debris ranging from micro litter and small, sometimes large bulky items. Then on Old Stage Road, we're between Alisal and Spence Road, just south of Salinas. We see big bulky items. There's a tendency to see car parts and other mechanical things out there in addition to regular trash. And on Zabala Road, we tend to see here again the mattresses, bags of trash, and bulky furniture items. And these last two slides exemplify some of the experiences that our litter crews as well as Smith and Enright come across. And so as we go to our final slide, we thank the authority board for the opportunity to be able to present to you and the invitation tonight. We open for questions or comments, but leave it to your discretion on when to ask the questions or comments. We'd like to be able to hand the floor over to our counterparts to be able to talk about the other two E's, the education and the enforcement activities that they will perform. And to supplement the enforcement activities, the county has passed an ordinance that increases the fines for illegal dumping. And Public Works, through its sign shop, are putting up more and more of these enforcement signs as budget allows. This is a nuance. It's because of the nature of the sign is not eligible for gas tax usage, but we use some of our litter abatement funds to be able to put up more and more of these signs. And as time marshals on, we'll continue to put more of these signs, particularly at our hotspots first, and then going outwards from there. And with that, hand the floor to our next speaker.
Do you want to do questions for Randy first, or?
We'd like to maybe do both presentations and take questions. To Bill Will, sure. We'll just do that.
Okay, so we'll continue with our part of the presentation, though I think Randy stole most of the thunder. He had all the great pictures. So good evening, Vice President Church and members of the board. So as a follow-up to Randy's presentation, as Patrick had mentioned on just the litter cleanup on the county's efforts, there's also a countywide illegal dumping and litter abatement task force. So myself, along with Jana Falk, our recycling coordinator, who's also here, Maria Ferdine, Randy mentioned. So we are actually the co-chairs for the local task force, and we're just going to be presenting on the task force efforts to really kind of unite all of us against illegal dumping, because it affects all of us. So, next. So, building on what Randy had said, we can hopefully all recognize and agree that the impact of illegal dumping on our communities can be substantial, as it harms public health and our environment, and the visual blight alone can reduce the quality of life for our residents, as well as all of our millions of visitors to our area every year. As Randy demonstrated, there's also significant monetary impacts. And over a 5-year period, Monterey County spent a total of $1.7 million on just cleaning up the illegal dumping and roadside litter. So that was from 2017 to 2022, which is just a little before Randy's data there. But this is why the task force has adopted the 3 R's that Randy also mentioned: the enforcement, eradication, and education. The point with the 3 R's, though, is that you have to have all 3 working together. You can't just have one in a silo. And I think that's been our issue as a county, is that we have a great eradication. We're just working now on enforcement, and we have some education, even though there's no funding for it. But you really have to have all 3 working simultaneously to really make an impact. So I'm going to turn it over to Maria Ferdine with the county. She's with Environmental Health, and she's actually going to give you overview of the task force, because it technically is a county task force, as well as the new enforcement efforts that the county has really been ramping up with. So Maria?
Bring this down a little bit. Thank you very much for inviting me to make this presentation. I appreciate the opportunity. And I also want to give you a summary of what the task force is doing. And we're doing a lot. And the good news is we have an infrastructure in place that we hope to develop, build on, and move forward with a cohesive, comprehensive program for illegal dumping, combating illegal dumping. Next slide, please. So the illegal dumping program is actually under the umbrella of the Illegal Dumping Task Force, and that was created by our CAO back in 1996. So we're almost 30 years old. The purpose of it was to fact find, educate the public, make recommendations to the board. And the original members were environmental health, sheriff, the district attorney's office, public works, and the CAO's office. Next slide. The task force is currently made up of members that include other county agencies, city agencies, stakeholders, waste service providers, nonprofits, members of the public. We have quarterly meetings, and we also have subcommittee meetings where that's where the work is done. Next slide. So Maddie was referring to the 3 R's. They're actually the 3 E's. And that's okay. They're the same. Enforcement, eradication, and education, the 3 E's. So interestingly, we've been doing these 3 things for a very long time. We just didn't have the language and the cohesive infrastructure to understand what we were doing until the annual illegal dumping conference, where they actually spoke about what the 3 E's mean. And these are 3 pillars that you have to have in order to combat illegal dumping. So we've always been doing eradication. That's funded. We haven't been doing enforcement very effectively and efficiently. Environmental health has a really good relationship with the DA's office. We've and of course we do education, but it's also intermittent, and a lot of the education is done by the waste haulers in their inserts and with the school children. So over time, we have increased illegal dumping fines, created an administrative citation process. We also have now a pilot surveillance program. And whenever we come up with, whenever we see a fantastic illegal dumping case, that's referred to the DA's office. For eradication, we have a litter abatement service MOU with the county. We also have a disclosure voucher program. And I'm going to say that thank you, SVR, for contributing to the voucher program. This is unique in all of California. When I make presentations of our illegal dumping program, this is the one thing that has the most questions on, because they want to know what it is, how much is funded, who funds it, and oh my God, I've never heard of anything like that. That's a great idea. So thank you. For education, we have social media campaigns, unified multilingual messaging on prevention. We have Earth Day events. We've had them for, I want to say a decade now. Community cleanups, everyone has it. Each district has a community cleanup. We invite the public to do community cleanups and offer them vouchers for disposal. And we have quarterly newsletter that goes out to the community. Next slide, please. So under enforcement, we have increased our illegal dumping fines from 100 to 2,500, from 200 to 5,000, from 500 to $10,000. We've implemented an administrative citation process. This is important because environmental health, and actually anyone, can issue an administrative citation. You don't have to be law enforcement. So that's the key thing. Next slide. Our survey under enforcement, we have the pilot surveillance program or project. We purchased 6 reconnaissance cameras and installed them at 3 hotspot locations. So we paired them, one on each side of the road, on each end of the road. The cameras are cellular enabled, solar powered, they're motion activated, they're inexpensive. And they actually deliver high quality images to the cloud. So I don't have to go to the cameras, take out the SD card and plug it into my computer. I can do all of that from my computer at home. Our cameras are also LPR capable, meaning they can read a license plate just by the camera resolves the reflection that the license plate can create. So it just kind of dulls that down and lets me read the letters and the numbers. And it has infrared up to 150 feet. Environmental Health funded this, both the hardware and the annual subscriptions, through a company called Epic.io. They provide the online data dashboard for us. So the hardware cost almost $13,000, and the annual subscription for all the cameras, about $6,500. So Environmental Health is absorbing these costs. Next slide. So illegal dumping. This exemplifies how fast illegal dumping happens. So we put up a camera on Lapis Road, not more than 5 minutes down the street from Regent. This gentleman in his very expensive truck gets out at 2:18:28 seconds. He arrives at 2:18:28 seconds. He gets out of his truck at 2:18:34 seconds and disposes of box spring. He gets back in his car at 2:18:57 seconds. It took all of 29 seconds to dispose of a box spring mattress when he could have done it for free and completely legit at Regent. So I suspect he just didn't want to wait in line for this. He's busy. He's got people to see. Next slide. So this happened last year, and didn't know who he was. Can you go back to the previous? Thank you. He drove in where camera couldn't see his license plate. So we did a PSA on it. Asked people to, if you know this guy, just let me know. It's okay. Just let me know. And we've done it twice. We haven't yet identified him. Next slide. Okay. This happened the same month, also on Lapis Road. I was just curious. I drove down on a weekend just to see what was going on. And I saw this sectional. It's actually pretty nice, very big. And I went really, really quickly back home to look at the camera, see if anything was picked up. And sure enough, this little Toyota with this arrangement that he's made, I picked it up on the camera and you can see his license plate. Now I know they're the same because if you look at the sectional, you see this line, diagonal line on it. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same that he has on his truck. So this guy got a citation. He hasn't paid it yet, but we're working on that. Next slide. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Mandy. Okay, thank you.
So the other part of the eradication program, which we already kind of have really touched on, but just wanted to highlight too that Monterey County has Monterey County Connect app, and that was created to encourage the public to submit requests when they encounter illegal dumping out in the community, and then those requests are referred back to Public Works. City of Salinas also has that same app where you can report a variety of different public works issues, but really mainly we were focused on the illegal dumping side. And then our task force also has a website for reporting if you haven't downloaded the apps, which is the keepmontereycountyclean.org, which the county graciously hosts for us. Also mentioned in the previous presentation with Randy, obviously to address the app, the additional requests from the app and expand the county's litter program. Like we mentioned, the MOU was developed and to assist and expand those services. And again, the MOU is mostly funded by our agency, but also Regen contributes. And this allows the county to do all of that great work that you already saw. Randy, I think you said on average, they collect anywhere between 150 to 200 tons annually, but this last year was closer to the 260. Is that's right? Okay. So, I mean, it varies, but that is a significant amount of tonnage to drop on the side of the road when we have plenty of facilities that will actually accept a lot of that material for free. Part of this slide, oh, it's covered up. Oh, that's kind of fun. Okay, great. There's been a lot of data that we've, kind of bombarded you with in this presentation. So part of my presentation was going to be a pop quiz of what do you think the top 3 most popular items that are collected roadside by the litter crews? Do we have anybody that's? You're not allowed to talk. What, I heard mattress, tires. Yeah, okay. Yeah, yes, household trash, that like by far wins it. But for like the bulky items, tires, mattresses, and televisions, electronics. And this actually, this data is super helpful for the education subcommittee because this helps drive what we're going to educate the public on. Because as we've said many times, we accept almost all those materials free of charge at some point, either on a daily basis at our facilities, at community cleanups that you all have in all of your communities, at our tire amnesty events. But now also all of the curbside haulers have free curbside collection that you can call and schedule and they'll come get it right at your curb. So the data is actually helpful in directing our education and outreach. Next slide. And then in addition, Maria touched on it, the disposal voucher program, which this is really to encourage the public to come out and clean up maybe parts of their neighborhood or a park, or it's not to clean out your garage, but you can apply online. The county administers it, Environmental Health, and Maria and her staff. As Maria said, our agency is along with Regen. We also help fund that. And the vouchers can be used for any cleanup event and or on a legal dumping issue on private property as long as it's been investigated by Environmental Health. So residents can apply for that online at the keepmontereycountyclean.org. And then they're issued a voucher and you can go take in to any of the disposal sites for free. Unfortunately, though, the program is really undersubscribed. So last year, 2024, we only had 20 vouchers that were issued for the entire county. So we really try to promote that as much as possible. And we do that by 4 times a year, members of our education and eradication subcommittee for the task force, we actually pick locations throughout the county and we go out and we do a lunchtime litter cleanup. We actually did one this afternoon. Big shout out to Amor Salinas for their help with that. We did that in North Salinas this afternoon. And this actually gets the subcommittee members out of a meeting, out of the office and into the community because we're all wearing our vests. We all have our pickers. And it actually allows us to kind of contribute to a cleaner Monterey County without just constantly talking about it and not really doing anything about it. So that's the end of my part. I'm going to turn it over to Jana and she's going to go over the education programs that are part of the task force as well.
Right. So yeah, for our education piece, we're constantly looking for ways to get out and get the message out. We unfortunately are not funded for this at all. So Salinas Valley Recycles and Regen use some of our media money to put some of these messages out. The quarterly newsletter you see on the screen is put out by Environmental Health. And if you're interested in subscribing to that, please let Maria know or send them an email. We also ensure that any of our outreach is bilingual because we know that that is a need. And we're trying to do a regional social media campaign. So our counterpart at Regen and our team work together to make posts that all of the haulers in all of the cities can put out around the same time and get the same message on many different platforms at the same time. And then we are also have done some public awareness, PSA. We'll get to see that in a minute. And as previously mentioned, the Earth Day cleanups. So here's some examples of some of our campaign messaging. At the top is the initial reels that Chris Lopez did and talking about the different items that we accept for free, the locations to come to, what you can do about illegal dumping, and then our social media ads. And the new kind of trend in what we've been saying this year is we don't have to live like this. We can do better. This doesn't need to be our backyard. But also promoting bulky item pickup and things that not everybody knows about. So we work on quarterly social media campaigns. Also, both of our agencies all put out messaging year round, but we do a unified quarterly message. No budget. And one of our big successes is the reels and video with County Board of Supervisor Chris Lopez, which I believe is this slide. So let's see if you haven't seen it yet.
Maybe you don't believe in ghosts, but want to know something else that's pretty scary? Illegal dumping fines. Don't dump. It's wrong. And you never know who's watching.
So that was a really fun video we got to make. And I don't know if you've all heard the rumors that the back roads old stage is haunted. So that was our little take on, you know, the ghosts are watching you. So did you want to do this? So that's my wrap up of education. And we have a lot of reels if you haven't watched them all. Got some stuff.
Gotta read this. So the future goals of the illegal dumping and litter abatement task force. One, we need to develop infrastructure. What's really good is that we have the parts in place. We have the three E's framework in place: eradication, education, and enforcement. We simply need to develop, refine the process. Except for eradication, everything else is unfunded. What I'm doing, the enforcement part, that's just folded into the everything else that I'm doing. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that, you know, that's what it is. But we have the infrastructure in place. We simply need to develop it. And interestingly, and I mentioned this before, we've had these parts in place to some degree or another, but we didn't know until the annual illegal dumping task force that we were doing things right. What we didn't have at the time was political support. And I know that the supervisors are together with us, combating illegal dumping and increasing the fines for illegal dumping. That certainly is another component for building infrastructure. For us, refining enforcement process is one of the key things that we need to do. We have a very good relationship with the DA's office. We made referrals to several very unusual dumpings, and the outcomes were fines and jail time. So we're good at that. But that also takes a lot of personnel hours, paperwork. The administrative citation is a very quick process. We find somebody who illegally dumped, we issue a citation. It's that simple. Anything more than that, like dumping of hazardous materials, that goes to the DA's office, and we have a process for that. Community-based social marketing. Right now, we're making a lot of assumptions: who's dumping, why they're dumping. I think it would help us as a program to include that infrastructure, professional help. So this is something that I believe we need. And seeking funding for the 3 E's. Stay involved in statewide task force, Clean California designation, and encourage the public to get involved. This presentation was made for the Alameda Illegal Dumping Task Force. Now that we have these components in place for illegal dumping, to combat illegal dumping, we're actually, Monterey County is slowly making our way in the illegal dumping task force for California. So, and people are very encouraged about what we're doing. Their interest on the disposal voucher program, it's pretty high. So we're doing something that's unique, but we also need assistance in how to do things better and refine our process. And that's it. Any questions? Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
And we'll open up your questions. First, I just want to say, I've never seen that video. Supervisor, you know, could you send it to all the supervisors' offices, please? Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry, what was that? Well, I heard that from a kid as a rumor, but you know, there's various stories of how that could be, but I don't know. Somebody's throwing those, all that trash out there. Maybe it's a ghost. Is there anybody with, a question that, they have here for staff? Let's say,
Just a question on the administrative citations in the process. Sorry, since they did increase substantially, do administrative citations impact like an individual's credit score in the way other types of citations might?
I don't know. I'm gonna say no, but I don't know. If they don't pay, we go to an administrative hearing. That's initiated by environmental health. I guess your credit score could be impacted if we go to collections, and that's further down the line. We haven't done it with this case. The first citation we've issued for $2,500. We're working with the DA to move that along. So potentially, yeah, if it goes to a collection bureau, yes.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. And then just the other question was around the surveillance program. Is the system that you guys are using, is it specifically intended for litter abatement programs, or does it have other applications as well?
Yeah, originally I believe it, so the Reconyx camera is a mobile game camera. So that's what it was initially intended to be used as. They've developed it so that law enforcement use it for illegal dumping. And they have LPR, license plate reader technology, specifically for illegal dumping. And we chose it because it's relatively inexpensive. It's better than your home video camera, or whatever they're called. There's a whole bunch of them, right? Like Ring is one of them. But I'd say it's a couple of steps above for the quality of the images. Plus, they're mobile. You can take them down and relocate them. It's got some hardware to it, but we put up 4 cameras in about 6 hours. So all the cameras are up and going. Yeah.
Sounds like a pretty successful program. I was just curious about it. Thank you.
You can buy it for $600.
How much? 600?
Yeah, the camera itself and the associated hardware, probably a couple $100 more, but that's what I mean by they're affordable. They're expensive, but they're affordable.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question on echoing with he and Ms. Cruz to my question. So can we go back to the slide where it was the first scene where the gentleman dropped off the
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 box spring?
mattress? Yeah, the box spring. So that one. So is there any other, I don't know if there's pulls out like where the hot spots are at, like a better angle to capture the license plate?
Mhm.
Or there are specific polls? I've never been there before, but I know that there's, I don't know, maybe a business there or something to get to capture that license plate.
Mhm.
Have you tried to maneuver it? Or-
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
You see that line in the middle of
Mhm.
the image? So that's the metal pole that's attached to the utility pole. And that swings like this all the time. So it would trigger the camera to take an image. And then it ran out of memory space. So we had to reset it. But to answer your question, Lapis Road has a ton of these utility poles. And some of them are further, they're like, I don't know, they're just far apart from each other. That space is one of the pullouts. Lapis Road has a bunch of them, and each one seems to have illegal dumping on it all the time. So the question is, which one do you choose? So we chose this one because it just felt right. And then a week later, this happens. But you know, you look at this guy and he looks like he recognizable. Even with his backside, nobody said anything so far. But anyway, to answer your question, yeah, you can maneuver the camera in such a way that you can see or have a potential to see the license plate.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then another question is, where, you said there were 6 cameras and is there one specifically on Metz Road? Because I see a lot in Metz Road, so I feel like just picking everything up.
That's top secret information. We can't tell you where the cameras are located.
I think right now we're in a very preliminary stage, conditioning the public to tell them, don't illegally dump, because someone's going to see you. Cameras are going to pick it up. And right now it's a mindset that we need to change. The cameras are our tool to help us do that. We just need a couple more cases, I think, of citations. And the hypothesis is you catch illegal dumpers, illegal dumping will go down. So that's the experiment we're running.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also just want to interject that the cameras are also supposed to be a deterrent, right? So yeah, we have cameras up. We're not telling you where the cameras are. I mean, I think we could all guess that they're in the hot spots, obviously. But we don't have enough cameras for all the hot spots that, you know, Randy showed us all those amazing, horrible pictures. But the idea is that now we're able to use that as an educational tool to say, like, we do have cameras out there, and it's supposed to be a deterrent. Like, we don't know where the cameras are, so maybe don't go illegally dump and bring your mattress, you know, and half a mile down the road and dump it for free, and not be on TV and the radio and people looking for you. Yeah. So that's the other, we're hoping it's more of a deterrent.
And just one other comment, sorry. Thank you for the presentation, Randy. You know, you do great work, Maria, Mandy, and even just the task force itself. It's very interesting because it's just, of course, I think it's lack of education. And then not only that, laziness, just making effort to go to the landfill and taking it. But I believe it's just also education. Janet, thank you for, you know, sharing the social media, because I want to be on board and doing it for, you know, City of Soledad. I know, you know, partnering up with Greenfield and Gonzalez, it's going to be good. So thank you.
Yeah, we're trying all kinds of the ways to, you know, help the public understand illegal dumping is not good. Is it your civic duty to throw your trash in the appropriate place? $1.7 million, we can't afford that. So it's costing you money. So us educating the public and along those lines, we're just beginning to do that.
Yeah. Nothing else.
Thank you for the presentation as well, and for all the work being done with not much other resources. But on these cases, talking about the deterrent effect, this first case was highly publicized by KSBW. Facebook has really did a really extensive job highlighting it, and how it showed what a great tool it could be, even if we were so far not able to catch that person. But the story went out and it was highly publicized. In the second case, though, the last time we did the presentation before the Board of Supervisors, I had asked, why wasn't that case publicized? And it said because we know who they are. But even if they did, if we know who they are and it's going through its administrative citation process, even if you didn't disclose who they were because we're going through that process, publicizing it again would be like a second case where people are being made aware and getting free press that these cameras are out there. So why didn't the second case get publicized? Had there been any other cases beyond these two that we've been able to catch on camera?
To your second question, no, there hasn't been any additional cases. The reason why we didn't publicize that one, because one, we issued a citation. It was an ongoing case, and that tends to be our policy. When it's an ongoing case, you don't give out information. It's still unresolved.
But if we're trying to tell the community you're gonna get caught, we have these cameras out there. Well, here we have only 2 cases. The second one is not being said. I mean, there's ways to blur the person's face, blur the license plate. But it lets the public know there's a second case where this person was issued a $2,500 fine. For me, that was just a lost opportunity, and that's policy I think it should be re-looked at. The only, going to the collections issue, in light of having this person not paying it, and it's been numerous months, should the county's policy be modified to impose additional fines the longer that they take not to pay it? Their fine will go up. I mean, for a parking ticket that happens, and
Yeah.
people pay it early because they don't want it
Yeah.
to double later.
Yeah,
So that's one question. The second part of that, because they're using their vehicles for this illegal dumping, just a parking ticket,
Mhm.
could the fine be imposed through the DMV?
yes.
And that'll make our job easier,
Yeah.
collecting and holding them accountable.
Yeah. So Alameda County is actually writing county code to include that.
Okay.
You're issued a citation, you don't pay it, it's attached to your DMV.
Yes. I mean,
So you want to drive your car? Fine, pay your fine.
right.
So they're doing that. We're getting a copy of their draft regulations. And it'd be cool to mimic that
Yes,
here.
I agree. Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right.
And the first question you had, the answer is yes. You don't pay your fine, the fine goes up.
Right.
So yes. Yeah. Anything else?
Director Funk, did you have a question? No, I thought I saw your hand up. Anybody else here? Right, I just want to, couple things. I want to agree with Supervisor Alejo. I think, these things need to be publicized. I mean, it's going to have huge impact, whatever you can do. And hearing, you think that was Santa Clara or Alameda? Was it Santa Clara or Alameda that's doing the
Alameda County.
Alameda?
Yeah.
Sounds like a great idea. Yeah, I think you would.
Yeah, that's an example of building infrastructure.
It's what?
It's that one thing is an example of building infrastructure for us.
Okay, right. So, but anyway, I think, it's, getting these publicized out there is really important. I was not unaware actually that there is $0 being budgeted on education on this, on dealing with, and that's, it's hard to really put together a sustainable program on $0 and to be very, very broad, and that way. And it would seem to me, when you look at this first case of this gentleman up here who knew where to go, he was going there to dump it off. He knew the right thing to do, and he didn't do it. That education and enforcement, you have to go hand in hand. I think which your point is that the whole three need to go hand in hand, but education by itself can't just really stand alone because there's people who will ignore these things. I wonder, and I guess there's no way to try to connect these fines to, there's no way to really make a legal claim for a lien on a property owner. It might be coming off of their property. Is there a possibility that way?
That's a county council question. So,
Okay.
but it's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, just trying to look at a different alternative there. Did have, and this actually is for Randy. One of the, on your first slide, you put up the alternative work program, but we're not really utilizing that, are we, or are we?
We are utilizing them, yes.
How much? How thoroughly?
It's very much variable on the schedules of the individuals since they check in and many of them want to come on a weekend rather than during a weekday. So we try to stagger our litter crews schedules so that they're not working just a Monday through Friday work week. They work an overlapping shift, sort of akin to the park ranger so that there is coverage. So we try to use however many AWPs that are available. We are in competition though with others who want to use them, such as Caltrans and others. So it fluctuates. Sometimes we get 2 people, sometimes we get 0, sometimes we get half a dozen. It just depends on time of year and who's available.
Okay. Our program used to be a lot more robust than you probably don't remember this, but it seemed like it was more robust many decades ago on that.
That is what our record shows. Yes, that is correct.
And the reason is because we just don't have the funding, or is it because of the nature of the prisoners?
As with many cases, as has been said tonight, a lot of it revolves around funding and currently the staffing levels that we're able to have at Public Works for litter guards is limited to it would be ideal to be able to increase that number, but we recognize that there's resource constraints all the way across the board.
And I guess my last question is, when you were showing the records here on the dumping, it seems to be really having peaked this year to a great, it's really had an increase. It's kind of ironic because we have these cameras out, now we have, higher fees and everything. And obviously we need to get more signs out. I mean, I don't know if we have any of the new signs or how many there are, but do we have a reason or an idea why we might be had an influx of, or an increase, I should say, of illegal dumping?
Very good observation, Vice President Church, and we're still culling through the data to try to determine what trends there may have existed, ranging from special events or house moving activities that might correlate with that increasing or rise in the quantity and tonnage of the illegally dumped materials. We'll need to cull through the data further in order to be able to try to parse some things together. We did notice, though, that over the course of COVID and shelter in place, the numbers tended to increase as well. So maybe there's a tie back to that and it's a continuation of activity. Again, it's something that we'll have to, once we get all of our data together, we'll have to work backwards to see where that correlation may exist.
Okay, thank you. Let me go out to public and see if there's any other closing comment. Anybody in public would like to speak on this?
Yes.
Ms. Hall is online. Hello, Liz.
Hi, good evening, Chair Church and members of the board. Liz Hall with Waste Management here. I just wanted to take an opportunity to thank Randy, Mandy, and Maria for their presentation tonight and all the work that I know that they do in regards to illegal dumping and many other things in our county. I know that, there's a focus on unincorporated areas here, and I just wanted to share really quickly a stat that I am very proud of. Since 2015, we've held 82 of the bulky drop-off events, and you guys would just be mind blown. Mandy knows last weekend we were together down in King City, but you guys would just be absolutely mind blown at the things that come into those events. And I'm grateful we're able to host those in the community. So special thank you to Salinas Valley Recycles for the ongoing support with the hazardous waste collection at those events. Since 2015, we've collected over 1,100 tons at those events. So that's 2.5 million pounds of material, of which 1.3 million pounds has been diverted. So I had that stat the other day after updating my tracker and just felt compelled to share it, but really wanted to give kudos to my colleagues who are in the trenches on illegal dumping quite often. So thank you.
Anybody else online? Okay, and nobody in the chambers. So this is just a presentation, I believe, and thank you for that. And we can move on to the next item, which is North County Recycling and Transfer Station update.
Good evening, Directors. Brian Kennedy, Engineering and Environmental Compliance Manager. And tonight I'm going to give you a brief update on the North County Recycling and Transfer Station. Next slide, please. So my last update was in February, and I mentioned that we had 4 major remaining items left before we could make a real decision on this project. First one was the CEQA initial study needed to be completed. The road improvements and at the entrance of the facility needed to be designed and accounted for. We need to get a building foundation design because we are building on a landfill, closed landfill. And then there was the issue of the water storage for the fire sprinkler, how much water we needed to have. Next slide, please. Excuse me. So on the initial study, the draft version is complete. It's been circulated internally for comments. Our CEQA attorney has it currently for his comments, and the plan is to bring it back to the board in September for your consideration. Next slide. So the next step of that is to complete the review internally. We need to notice all the parties. We hope to do that in early August to start the 30-day circulation period. We want to have all the comments back for the board so they can use those for totality of your decision, whether to approve it, and then again, bring it back in September is our goal right now. Next slide. So the entrance road, this got a little more complicated than we thought it would be. We had a conceptual design by Jared Miller and Associates, which looked great. And so we engaged with the county and they mentioned things that they wanted to have in this design. And so, next slide, please. We had turned it over to an actual traffic engineer. So the conceptual design had to fit on the actual road. So when we put it on the road, we had a few hiccups. The main thing is that it's really the constraints on the width of the road to get the turn lanes and the deceleration lanes were such that we had to really maneuver it so we didn't have to cut down a bunch of trees and do a lot of earthwork. So we think we have a design that'll work for everybody now. We forward it to the county, they're reviewing it, and hopefully we can use this design going forward. Next slide, please. So again, next steps for the entrance is to finish the review of design. So there's 3 steps: the conceptual design, the traffic engineer design, then it has to go to a civil engineer to actually put into place for construction on the traffic design. So that will happen after the project's approved, if and when the project's approved for construction. Next slide. Okay, the building foundation. We engaged with a geotechnical company that came out and did a series of borings at the site. We're hoping to find less trash, but the reality is that 7 of the 8 borings encountered garbage in there. So that makes the foundation design a little trickier. So the company that we engaged to build their tension fabric buildings, their steel framing with fabric roof and sides, has that information. They're doing the actual design for the foundation. And when we get that, we'll have a really better idea of the costs associated with building on landfill. Next slide. So we hope to get that back by mid-July. The foundation design also plays into the design of the building. So we'll get firm cost estimates of the actual building and an idea what the foundation cost is going to be. And the last issue was the fire suppression. So we met on site with Chief Mendoza and a company that does engineering for this. He took a look at the site. He determined or let us know exactly what he wanted as far as sprinkler systems and storage. And the California Fire Protection is the engineering firm we engaged with. There's a series of calculations and acceptable thresholds. I mean, it's sure a complicated issue. And so they have this information. They worked with Chief Mendoza and they determined a quantity of water storage that we need. Next slide. So we have that information now, and we have some preliminary estimates on the tanks. It's going to end up being 2 100,000 gallon tanks. We have a location that we think they'll fit. There's a local vendor that we've engaged with that's given us some cost estimates that we can use. And when we have these estimates, we'll bring it back to the board. So the next steps for this project, bring CEQA back. The CEQA and the permits can go to parallel tracks. CEQA doesn't, the permit application is not conditional on CEQA, but we want to get CEQA completed in case we have any challenges or if there's issues that we need to know ahead of time. So the plan is to bring CEQA back to the September board meeting. In September, we hope to have general cost estimates, right? Because when we put things out to bid, we get firm cost estimates, but we have general cost estimates. And again, we should have all the information we have to bring that back to the board in September. I'm going to tell you how much it costs. Ray's going to tell you how he's going to pay for it. And then it's in your hands, right? Whether we want to move forward, because the next step after that is applying for permits and bidding projects. So that's kind of a go, no go, hopefully in September. And that's it. We went at this for like a 1.5 years, and hopefully we can have enough information to really make a decision.
Questions? Anybody? Comments? Yes.
I put this mic down with the intention of not talking at all tonight. So a few months ago we did a presentation on potential funding. We have some money set aside in the expansion fund. And I wasn't expecting to speak, so I don't know if the number's about $5 million, I believe, along with some capital reserve funds that we have. The 3 projects we were working on at the time were the Holon Road improvements, the Crazy Horse project, and then improvements to the Johnson Canyon entrance facility. We were squeezing really tight with the initial estimates actually fund everything with between the capital reserves and the expansion funds. So we decided that best course of action is to defer the Johnson Canyon entrance until after we have an answer for Crazy Horse and know the final cost. So until I get final costs, I can't tell you exactly where the funding was, but our preliminary estimates did show that we had enough money in our reserves to pay for the Crazy Horse transfer station, and hopefully 2-3 years down the line we'll have money to do the Halong Johnson Canyon Road improvements as well. Johnson Canyon entrance improvements, sorry.
I add something to that too. And we also had borrowed money from our reserves to purchase the office building with board instruction that that money would be repaid back to our capital
Yes,
reserves.
that will
And
definitely
so,
help.
yeah, so that we're expecting that to occur sometime in the very near future, that sale to occur. And that'll also provide us additional either replacement funding if once we've started expending money on this project, which we don't think will probably happen until late spring or summer next year. And so if there's adequate money, this will backfill some of that capital expense.
We have and I was scrolling as I was talking, we have $10.7 million right now between our expansion fund and the capital project reserves. This project preliminary, this was about just under $10 million, I believe.
No comment.
Yeah, no comment. So there's enough money for this project because we've now completed the Halong Road project, and that's fully funded. And we also are expecting to have some reserves again this year to add to that. The only catch is that he's also going to bring back in September or October plan to start building the new cell at Johnson Canyon, and he wants to build that a couple years early, so we have to make sure there's funding for that as well.
Just find the money ready.
That is a separate reserve though. That's a dedicated reserve just for that cell construction.
Any other comments out here? I just want to mention a couple things. I think, we've talked about this before, but I think this is really important for Salinas and North County. There's obviously a lot of illegal dumping out there. And although we saw a case of somebody who did the right thing to do, hopefully the lines aren't going to be too bad. And those who want to be inclined to throw things on the road from a line will actually stay in here to do this. I do have one question though. Could you go back to the entrance, the design there? Yeah, either one of those works. My concern here is that left turn lane to come out of there and go north on Crazy Horse. And there's not a middle lane.
There is actually, yeah,
There
this is for presentation purposes only. The actual, this is not the final design. This was the conceptual. There is a acceleration lane. And that was one of the conditions that the county wanted. We had to have an acceleration lane, a deceleration lane, had to meet Caltrans standards.
Yeah, I thought we had talked.
Yeah,
acceleration.
there definitely
I guess I can see it here now.
Yeah, or the next one might be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see the arrows. So this is that definitive. But then we do have a design. It does have that. Sure.
Great. That was my only question. Thank you.
Supervisor Church, just to your comment, I just wanted to raise it once more because we have to be cognizant of the charges even for dumping at this transfer station. I gripe about the Republic's transfer station in Baranda, a minimal dumping fee, even if they were going to dump a bag of garbage, it's $50, right? So that doesn't help us in this effort that was just explained earlier. When if you have one bulky item, one bag of trash, they're not going to go if they're getting charged $50 to do that. And I did send a letter twice already to Republic about it, and so did Environmental Health, and we haven't got a response from them. So I'm going to try a third time. Hopefully we can get them to at least give us an answer and engage in a conversation about it.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's a big problem right there. And our cost for is going to be how much lower for this site?
Oh, our current minimum charge is $17. And so, yeah, it's not, and actually theirs is over 50 now. They've done several CPI adjustments. So.
This is a big win. I mean, I just can't believe that it's not going to reduce on Old Stage or, for the South County or North County or wherever any of this dumping, when you have something that's actually reasonable and you're not being punitive to people that are trying to do the right thing. Yes, go ahead.
Just a quick comment to Supervisor Alejo. It looks like the city may be reopening at least part of our contract with public services as we're facing some issues around their street sweeping. So there might be a good time to engage with our city manager about that because it is a big concern.
Is there any public comment on this matter? Anybody online? Okay. This presentation here too. Any last chance for board comments, and we'll move on to future updates.
All right. So you put up the look ahead. So just while we're getting this loaded up, just as a reminder to the board, so our August meeting is going to be fairly light from general meeting aspects. It is a special meeting. So we will be starting at 4 o'clock because we are going to be having a light approval of some essential consent items at the beginning of the meeting. And then we'll be moving right into our strategic planning workshop. So this is a very important one. We are sort of switching gears on how we do strategic planning. It'll be an all staff presented workshop instead of a facilitator this time. And we're really going to be focusing on long range items. I think as I've said before, our current strategic plans have been a little stale. They feel good, but they're not substantial, and I think we wanted to really kind of change the focus on looking forward and what are our success pathways, what are some of the headwinds we're going to run into. So the board's prepared to start making some of these, new decisions. Some will be hard, some will be easy, but they're more aligned with real strategic planning. We're looking forward from regulatory perspectives to future capital, to new technologies, and a whole bunch of different things that we've identified when we talked about the 5 and 10 year look ahead. So we're really expanding on that to try to get the board's input on essential components of the authority's future that we really want staff and the community to focus in on. So this is a very important one, I think, for the authority to be at that meeting. So again, 4 o'clock. We promise we'll try to get you out by 8 o'clock at the latest, if not sooner. And there'll be a short consent agenda at the beginning, and hopefully we'll be into that meeting by 4:30 and get right to it. It'll be in this room as well. Okay. August, what's the date, Erica? 21st, yeah. It's our normal meeting night. Yeah. It's just, we're starting at 4 o'clock instead of 6, yeah.
Okay, with that, then we're going to adjourn to closed session. We have 2 items. And one is pursuant to government code of 54957, concerning the resignation of the authority's general counsel and employment of a general counsel. It's item 11, and item 12, which is also pursuant to government code 54957, but this 1.6 is to confer with general counsel for the labor negotiations regarding the general manager. Is there any public comment on this, on either one of these items? Closed session?
Chair Church, if I could.
Excuse me?
Shannon wants to.
Yes, go right ahead.
Thank you. My name is Shannon Chaffin. I'm with Alshire and Winder, A&W. We currently serve as your attorneys. I just wanted to speak very briefly in my private capacity regarding item 11. And we know it can be difficult when general counsel changes firms. The question is, do we go? Do we stay? What do we do? So you have some good news. You can't go wrong no matter what way you choose. Roy is a great attorney. He's fantastic. I have full confidence in Roy if you decide to go with Roy. He's wonderful. And you'll do fine if you're with Burke Williams. I've also been asked if A&W can continue to provide services. Yes, we can. However, I want to flag for the board that I do currently have a conflict on Thursday nights, which is your meeting nights. Good news is we have many other attorneys, and if you'd like to see if they're a good fit, we can make some recommendations for you. One challenge is that the attorneys I would suggest as a good fit would likely have to attend by Zoom. This is a modern era. If that works for you, then I can make some recommendations. If not, you can't go wrong with Roy. whatever you choose, we are still available to provide service for ongoing projects if needed. And we just want the authority to succeed. So I'm available if you have any questions, and would also like to note for the record, I will not be advising on this matter for closed session. Thank you.
Right. Thank you for your comments. Anybody else? Nobody else. Okay, we'll close public comment and move to closed session. Brian still here?
No, I think Brian.
Hey, we'll reconvene to back from open session and take up item 13 and for the appointment of a general counsel.
All right, so the board has three options to consider. We've discussed those. And those options are to retain Al Sherwinder, to approve item 13, which is a draft contract for legal services with the firm of Burke Williams and retaining our existing general counsel, Roy Santos, or to move the item forward to a formal RFP process. So those are the options that the council or the board has, and I'll leave it to the board's discretion to move forward with one of those decisions.
Don't forget to do, wait, oh, hold on, I was gonna say, don't forget to public comment.
Let's go to the comment first here. Do we have any public comment on this matter? You're seeing the public.
Thank you, Vice President Church, board members. First off, I just wanted to start by apologizing, partly for the rapid and kind of lack of communication on this matter. Partly, I'm legally prohibited from talking about these kinds of transitions until I speak to my former employer. And so that kind of necessitated the kind of was a lack of transparency, or being able to call each one of you and say, hey, this is, what is possibly going to happen. But I just wanted to also say, regardless of how the decision goes, that I love working with the authority. It's been an amazing opportunity to meet one of the board members, but the staff is phenomenal. For any general counsel, they make my job so much easier. The way they communicate with me and just being able to come together as a team and figure stuff out together ahead of time, so we're avoiding issues. It's been a real pleasure and an honor to work with everybody. And if it goes my way, I look forward to continuing doing that. I just wanted to say it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Anybody else on public comment? Nobody? Okay. Bring it back here for
On that note, I will move to contract with Williams and retain Roy Santos.
We have a second. All right. We have a first and a second. No other discussion. We'll go to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. And with that, we can adjourn, I suppose. All right. See you soon.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
And